So friends, we have studied the various snow loads, how they come on the structure. They have been defined in IS 875 Part 4. Now the wind loads. The wind loads occurring on the structure anywhere within the Indian region have been defined in IS 875 Part 3. This IS 875 Part 3 gives wind forces and their effects, that is static and as well as dynamic, that should be taken into account when designing buildings, structures and components thereof. It is believed that ultimately wind load estimation will be made by taking into account the random variation of wind speed with time. But available theoretical methods have not matured enough. They have not matured sufficiently at present for their use in the code. So whichever way we can estimate the wind load, it would be the best and take that into account. For this reason itself, the static wind method of load estimation, which implies a steady wind speed, which has been proved satisfactory for normal, short and heavy structures, this is the one which we refer. This has been given in clause 5 and clause 6 of IS 875 Part 3. As we all understand, normally wind loads become very critical for tall structures and skyscrapers. But it also depends upon what speed the wind is moving. Especially during a tropical cyclone, the wind speeds are huge and they can have disastrous effect, and that's why the wind loads have to be considered when we are designing the structures. Now the wind load, for the wind load we are referring IS 875 Part 3 1987. In this, what we find is the different wind speeds and the pressures all over India in different regions have been defined. The map has been given, the basic wind has been defined, the designed wind speed. What is the wind speed with which we have to design, that also has been defined. For a particular terrain, whether it is open, whether it is hilly, the height of the structure, all that is taken into consideration, the topography and all those things, and based on this the calculations are going to be done. A small look through into the code tells us that the various terminology to be used has been defined. Then the wind speed and pressure, the nature of wind in atmosphere, the basic wind speed, it is given in figure 1, the design wind speed, the different categories of the terrain have been defined. So we will be looking at the map like this. The map is given, the color coding, the values have been given. So based on the color coding, where we stand, where our structure stands, the wind speed will be taken and the design will be considered. In the design it will be considered. Now risk coefficients have been also defined for the different types or classes of structures. That also needs to be taken into account. Then the wind pressures and forces on buildings and structures. So going through the code, all these have been given. So finally we take these values and then design the structure. So we have seen the various types of loads. Now we also have something called as load combination. Now what is this load combination? We all understand that different types of loads act on a structure. The different types of loads such as dead load, imposed load, snow load, wind load, earthquake load, etc. question is, do they all act together? When there is wind load, does the snow also occur? When there is imposed load and wind load, is there earthquake load also? Anyone a simple thought will tell Anyone with a simple thought will tell that it is not so. When the dead load is there, a live load combination is true. When the live load is there, there could be wind load, but when dead load, live load and wind load are there may not be snow load, or there may not be seismic load and the other loads. So the clause 8 of the code defines that a judicious combination of the loads specified in parts 1 to 4 of the standard an earthquake, keeping in view of the probability of the chance of their acting together, probability or a chance of their acting together, and their disposition on how much area they would really act in relation to the other loads, and the severity of the stresses or deformations caused by the combinations of the various loads, we need to understand, and all this how they would be acting to ensure the required safety and economy in the design of a structure. Obviously, we understand that all of these will not be acting everywhere at the same time. The wind load may be acting on one side of the building, but it may not be acting on the other side of the building also. The various loads should therefore be combined in accordance with the stipulations in the relevant design codes. The design codes have already defined the combinations which we need to take when we are designing the structure. In the absence of such recommendations, the following loading combinations, whichever combination produce the most worst effect or the most unfavorable effect in the building, foundation or the structural member concerned, may be adopted as a general guidance. It should also be understood that in load combinations, simultaneous occurrence of maximum values of wind, earthquake, imposed and snow loads is not likely. The maximum value of wind load, the worst earthquake, the worst imposed load, or the worst, heaviest of the snow load may not be occurring at the same time. So the different combinations which have been given are listed on the right hand side. It can be only the dead load, or dead load and imposed load, dead load and wind load, dead load and earthquake load. Similarly, the combinations have been given, total 14 of them. We need to take them into account, and then based on these combinations, we have to consider the worst effect, the worst stress these loads or any of these loads can produce on the structure or the structural member. Take that effect and design the structural member.